We're live. Welcome to the AntiMatter podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and today we have Noah McNally around for episode 2. And we just watched the A&M game. It's pretty awesome.
It was incredible.
That overtime had my blood pressure boiling.
Yeah, that
was kind of crazy. That was a really good game. Kind of sucks that it was away, but you know what? Doesn't even matter. It was a good game.
It's all good. There were a lot of Aggies there since it was in Dallas, so that was.
Yeah, there were a lot of Aggies there. That was kind of cool to watch it.
It really was.
But on a completely related note, let's talk about what I had originally planned on before that really awesome game kind of took it by storm, which is cover songs and their originals. Completely related.
Totally.
So this is just sort of a topic that interested me, and we're just gonna kind of chill out and talk about it. Not really a huge plan for the stream. Not gonna read off notes like last time, but I was listening to the radio the other day, and I was listening to for whatever reason Mad World came on. And it's this really like sad, like slow, somber song, and I kind of harkened back to a school project where I realized that song that came out, that Mad World that everyone has heard, the really like slow one they use in those really stupid sad memes. It's actually not the original. The original is a lot more upbeat, and for the sake of copyright, I'm probably not going to play it. Or actually, I'm not going to play it because
Smart.
Right now I'm currently understaffed. But it's really interesting how like there are some covers that will just completely overshadow their originals, and then there are other ones that are just like really bad and never see the light of day.
This is true. That was the song you showed me yesterday, right?
Yeah, that was
Mad
the
World?
song I showed you yesterday because he'd never heard it before.
That was interesting.
There are some other songs that nobody knows are covers. I had some notes written down. I'm gonna go and get those notes right now because they're right here. Don't worry. Wow, you get to see some behind the scenes, some wild behind the scenes of the podcast.
I was gonna do a commercial break noise.
And I'm gonna. Oh yeah.
But it's all good.
Okay, so I have some notes written down on some of these really crazy songs you would never suspect that are covers. I got none of them from WatchMojo.com. And here we go. You ready? Tainted Love was not the original song you heard. Was not the original. It was originally sang by Gloria Jones.
Interesting. Wait, Tainted Love.
Tainted Love.
Yeah, but who sings the cover?
Soft Cell, I think it is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of like a very like.
I Love Rock and Roll. You know the one with the Putting Another Dime in the Jukebox, baby?
Yeah.
That's a cover.
Interesting.
Straight up. The Arrows were the first ones. Were the ones that sang the original.
Interesting.
I Will Always Love You. Aretha Franklin? Is that the right name?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. But you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And I like really good voice, like really strong. Dolly Parton sang it first.
Really?
Yeah, Dolly Parton sang it first, and it's kind of weird. Like I looked back and I was like, "What? Dolly Parton?" Wait, I did like a double take. Girls Just Want to Have Fun, not the original.
Yeah, you see.
The one by her was actually covered by Robert Hazard.
That surprised me because I thought Cyndi Lauper sang the original.
Metallica's Dazed and Confused is not an original. It's a cover. Though the guitar lick and the vocals are original to Metallica. Full credit to them because they're an awesome band. But the original was from an artist named Jake Holmes. Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus is also a cover. It is not an original, and I could say that this is the cover original relationship. Usually, when someone covers a song that like overshadows it, usually it's very transformative. Like Mad World goes from being this really sad, depressing thing to being like a like really like happy and upbeat, or like it's just really weird mood shift. But with this one, Achy Breaky Heart pretty much sounds the same by both guys, but it was by guys called the Marcy Brothers, and it was a song under a different name called Don't Tell My Heart.
Yeah.
And then I think that's about it for any like significant songs. But I was sitting there and I was like, I thought these were all original songs. What the heck?
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, these covers were so good that like the originals are just like not even, they don't even like matter.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting.
I don't know. It's really weird. And then you had like those really weird like Britney Spears covered like some song, like, and it was like you never hear about it again, or it's like the fifth person covering "All I Want for Christmas Is You," or like
oh my gosh,
or you go to those like
Christmas
YouTube,
covers.
you go to those like countless YouTube channels where people pull out the acoustic guitar and start singing like emotionally singing Chainsmokers into with a piano. I don't get it. I don't get it how people like can find the appeal. Yeah, there's enough complexity in a Chainsmoker song for me to do a complete cover. No, there isn't, by the way. Chainsmoker.
Personally, I like the Chainsmokers, but you're right there. It's like, the thing with covers, in my opinion, is that you also, like, there's some things where you can consider is a cover or isn't a cover. Okay. So, like, you've got your typical, like, the acoustic covers. And there's, like, 1 in a million of those will end up becoming more popular than the original.
Okay.
So you've got acoustic covers. Then you've also got, like, remixes, if you consider that a cover. Most people don't.
No,
however,
I think that's taking it and trying to make it something else.
Sometimes covers can be that too, because you can make kind of what I would consider an original cover, which is kind of contradictory, but like songs that, like, let's say that the original song is like this way, and then you make it and it sounds completely different. You can change the tempo, you can change this, that, whatever. Like, for instance, the song Take On Me by a-ha.
Yeah.
There was a song that was released a few years ago that was by Pitbull and someone else, I can't remember, but it was almost the exact same beat. I consider that kind of like a cover in a sense.
I think the definition of covers is very, I think for you say that a remix or a cover or something. I define covers very differently.
Interesting.
A cover is when, I think it's a very like defined line for me. So I can say without a doubt this is my like opinion on this. A cover is when you take the artist. You can change whatever the hell you want with it. That doesn't define a cover for me. A cover is when you take everything from the song and just remove the artist and then replace it with someone else. So like you say, the voice behind it is now someone else's voice. That's what defines it for me. Now a remix is like if you're a DJ going up to the club and you're about to do a party mix, but like you need this you need all your songs to be on like a relatively like same mood or on a beat. So you add a like to all the songs, even though it sounds bad, and like it's you put it in for the sake of just keeping everything the same or transitioning between songs that might have a little bit of a mood shift. Or if you have a remix like where you take a sample of the song, like the like that meme Vaporwave song, that the Macintosh Plus 420 song. That's actually a sample taken from an 80s pop song and just slowed down a lot and then just like kind of remixed and kind of made really trippy. And it just does it like that is like a remix or like repurposing or doing something transformative with it. Now, the DJ obviously not being transformative because he wants them to be able to recognize the song.
Exactly. Or
sometimes when you're talking about what you have talking about, it's very similar beats, very similar chord progressions. I think that has more to do with the genre than sometimes it has to do with the genre, sometimes it has to do with plagiarism, but like I will say 100% of the time that I don't consider that to be a cover.
Interesting.
I think I have a very defined definition of what a cover is and what a cover isn't, you know?
I'm the opposite. I see it like very differently. Okay. Like for instance, like I listen to a lot of folk music and there's a few songs like I know I agree with what you're saying that a remix is definitely different than a cover. Mm-hmm. Like there's like the pure covers and then there's the remixes, but that all kind of falls into the same category. Like it's like there's new music where artist like writes a completely new titled song, and then there's music where I was like, all right, this artist wrote this song, like Simon and Garfunkel wrote the song The Boxer. Mm-hmm. Then you have another band that comes and plays the same song, but it's very different. Like for instance, Mumford & Sons covers that song, but they play it like much more different. Like it's got different instruments, different notes even in some places. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, it's like, well, is that a cover? Because they're changing the instruments.
Well, I would say it's a cover because, like, for example, I'm going to bring up Mad World again. you change the instruments being used. The song is the same. The lyrics in the song are the same. The everything about the song is being changed other than the lyrics and like the song itself. You're using the same notes. You're just framing it a completely different way.
Interesting.
Now, in that way, that would be like your definition of a remix.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, they're singing the same song.
Yes.
So I think the way you see it, from what I understand, is that you see like this is song augmentation. This is its bubble.
Correct.
And
yes.
all these changes fit into this bubble.
Yes.
And discerning between the two is kind of a gray area.
Yeah. For me,
I kind of see it like that. Like if someone wants to re-release a song, I could see that. But I have very like at its core, a cover would be it. Despite what you do to the song, you could take everything from the song, like a karaoke.
Okay.
Like that would be a cover, even though it's not like a release.
I know what you mean.
Like they release it to make money.
Yeah.
That's my conventional cover definition. You can change whatever you want about it, but at its core, you're taking its lyrics and for the most part its notes, and you're just switching out the singer. So you have like Billy Ray Cyrus, where "Achy Breaky Heart," he's singing the same stuff. He just like renamed the song and then just put himself into it instead of the other band. Or that at its core is still the same thing as the Mad World shift. It's really like, I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy how like you have some covers that like redefine the song
exactly
and completely overtake it, like or there'd be like artists that are completely overshadowed to the point where like they don't even fully release a song, like Beyonce's "If I Were a Boy." It's this really like interesting song. It's really good, and you know Beyonce, Beyonce apparently is like the Jesus incarnate of the music industry. So she's a really good singer. She's really talented and she's really awesome. But the original for that song was an unreleased song by a singer of a different name. I can't remember the name. I didn't write it down, sadly enough. But she originally recorded it, and then the recording company turned it down because they didn't know if the song had the traction for it. And then Beyonce was like, "Okay, well I'm Beyonce, bam," and then she just shot a music video for it, and it was a huge success. It was a really like it's a song like it's commentary on like gender roles, and especially in its time, it was really effective. Now, its effect now might have a little bit more of an effect of memes being created about it, but like now, then it was a lot more effective than it would be now to like a more cynical audience, a comparatively more cynical audience. But that's just a song.
Yeah, we're here to talk about covers.
Yeah, we're here to talk about covers.
So
don't get it twisted. Like, cause I was the kid when I got my first MP3 device. Like I got like a little tiny little cube where you had a little joystick on it. It was like one of those really cheap ones, and then my parents were like, "Now don't get any music you have to pay for." And I really liked Michael Jackson at the time, so I got the free Michael Jackson CD, and I thought I was getting all the songs, and then I realized they were all covers. They were all just some guy covering to a slightly different beat, and it was so bad.
That's so bad.
They were all so bad. Or I would get like the Rocky 7 CD because Rocky like 1 million kind of like flopped, you know, as most sequels do. I think I just came up with a topic for next week. But
so then what would you consider, what makes, just in general, what makes a cover better than the original song?
Well, I think a large part of it has to do with the success when it's released worldwide.
Okay. But musically, not accepted. Like, for instance, if you were going to say, wow, just on the theory of like the actual music of this song versus this song, what makes it more successful?
Man, because that's like saying what makes music good.
It is, and
answering that question requires like a lot more understanding of music than I currently have.
It's just an opinion.
I think it's just, yeah. I mean, it comes down to your opinion a lot of the times, because like sometimes when people will release covers, it's like an updated version of the song.
Mm-hmm. So
some people may find it more desirable because it's an updated version of it, and it's a more modern take on it.
Yeah.
on the other hand, you might have a faction of people who like the old style better because it feels more real, more genuine. The fact that maybe the singer has limitations that are displayed, they like it more. Like a lot of people from where I come from, San Antonio, a lot of people like classic rock. San Antonio is like the classic rock capital of Texas.
Interesting.
There are so many. Well, there's also a lot of veterans there, so that kind of helps because like everyone was like, yeah, Aerosmith, Metallica, and like, and so I don't know. It's hard to answer that question.
It is.
For me, like, there are some times where it doesn't bother me, where I'm like, oh, this is a cover, but it doesn't bother me because the guy's all right.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it's like if you're covering like Michael Jackson, you're covering, like, oh man, you cover Prince or you cover, like Aerosmith, like really huge names in music, or like you cover like Bruno or large names today like Bruno Mars, or like people or John Legend, people with some serious pipes, like or Beyonce. It's really difficult for me to not be bothered by someone covering it because it's not every day that people with that level of talent like can just belt out a song or just like come into existence, you know? And so just have some dude covering it will be like, yeah, this doesn't feel the same. It's not the same quality. But when you have songs that are like transformed completely, sometimes I'm like in limbo, and I'm gonna bring up Mad World for the last time. I promise. I kind of like both versions equally because they both serve equally different purposes. Yeah. One of them has a really stupid and funny dance in the middle of it because that was what was like hip and fresh back then, was to do that, and it looks so dumb. She's just like sitting there dancing around. She looks cheesy AF. It's something you would never see today. Yeah. And then the other one's like a really like sad song. It's like it seems like it's just all about depression or just really like sad somber music, and it has its place, but this other one's hilarious. Yeah. I think, and then there's songs that just get covered. Then there's those like songs that you can barely even say are covers. Actually, I'm gonna go back to your definition of covers because I was just thinking about this, like songs that everyone sings, like everybody, like what was I just thinking about? God, I kept getting messed up by Christmas music. There's that one that Ashley Tisdale covered, where she was singing about like giving someone her heart for Christmas, and then I don't know.
Oh, I know. Christmas they gave.
Yeah, Last Christmas. Yeah. There are like a million people that cover that, and it's really hard to pinpoint. The original. Or I mean, I'm sure I could pinpoint the original, but I didn't take the time to research it. Yeah. But I mean, like when you have so many people covering it, at some point for me, it just comes down to the singer's quality. I don't even pay attention to the original. I'm just like, screw it. Who sings it the best? I don't even care. And no one can do anything really too transformative to it. Yeah. Because it's like a Christmas song. It's like you gotta sing it Christmas style, or else you won't get the record sales. Exactly. It's because that's how else is it gonna fit on the Christmas album? I don't know. Wait here, I'm gonna check something really quickly. Go for it. I think you got it.
I mean, in my opinion, I would say there are definitely contingencies that make a song a bad cover.
Oh yeah.
That was just like a very agreeably like, this is a bad cover.
Oh.
And not in definitely. Like a way that like, wow, this guy's a failure, but in just like it just like it takes away from the original touch of a song. Then there are covers that are like, this is a good cover, but it's hard to say if it's better or worse than the original. That's where it gets really difficult. Because I think if you transform a song, like for instance, in my opinion, if you cover a song good, you do something original with it, other than just singing with the same instrumentations. While like a lot of people do that, and that's great, if you change it, it's more impressive because it shows your creative like prowess. And so whenever you create something that's new enough to be a really good cover, it's almost as if they're two different songs. Yeah. And so in that sense, it's like, well, how can you compare them? Because they're two different things. And so when it's to that point, that's when I say like, all right, this cover is good because you can, if I can listen to a song, like an original or the cover, and then listen to the other one right after each other, that's a good cover because it means that they're different enough to where I can listen to them and not be like, wow, this is on repeat. You know?
Okay, that makes sense. I think that is good. I think you can still have a song that sounds the same though, and still have it be good, just because of the singer there. I think part of what makes it. I think part of what makes that soul of the song that you're talking about, like the part of the song that makes the song what it is, or makes what that song so special is like that soul, that like core of the music has less to do with the lyrics, because you can just gut the lyrics and sing it terribly, or the notes as well, or just sing it in a way that's very unappealing. But I think that some people, like to have particular voices, can fill a song in a different way, in a way that seems transformative, but really it isn't. It's the same stuff, but you have a different voice, and you kind of like redefine the song itself. I don't know.
That actually, you can see that a lot. Like that argument like makes a lot of sense if you look at Broadway, because think of like, for instance, a play like Phantom of the Opera. You can go watch it in Houston, and you're like, wow, this Phantom has an amazing voice, you know. But then you go watch it in New York City with like Michael Crawford or Sarah Brightman, and you're just like, wow, you know, because it's the different voices, they have those different emotions, and so it changes.
I have to say, I think it's good you brought that Broadway example up, because it made me think of, and I agree with that point, and I'm gonna kind of build on it a little bit here. Have you seen Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
Yeah. In the original, I'd say it was a good movie. And it was really good at harkening back to it. There was just a couple moments where the auto-tune really stuck out.
Oh, in the live motion?
In the movie.
The one with the real live people, not the animation.
The one with Hermione Granger as Belle. No, she did good. Everyone there did a good job. There's just some points in the auto-tune where I was like, I can, like, you know, it sounds like a robot, like the song editing. It sounds weird, but there's that song Evermore, the new one that they added.
Oh yeah.
The one where the Beast is singing. Dan Stevens is the guy that originally wrote it, and there are two versions on YouTube. There's the one that the Beast sings, and then there's one that Dan Stevens sings. And Dan Stevens is really good, but the Beast version is also good in its own respect, because it sounds like it's from the movie. Yeah. But there's like a couple moments of autotune that bother me. So I'm like, so there's this whole like,
so it also comes down to production.
There used to be this whole debate about which version was better. Yeah. Because Dan Stevens is a really good singer, and obviously the quality of his is really good. But when you listen to it, you're not reminded of the movie that much, or as much as you are when you're listening to Dan Stevens is the actor. I just switched Dan Stevens around. His name's Josh Groban. Josh Groban's the singer.
Yeah, Josh Groban is
Every time I said Dan Stevens before now, replace that with the word Josh Groban.
Hold on, wait. So Josh Groban wrote that song?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
No, Josh Groban wrote that song. Every time I said Dan Stevens, replace with Josh Groban. Dan Stevens is the actor, I think. Now I need to look this up. I need to see if
it's all good.
I'm now going to be bothered by this. I'm going to be straight up bothered by this way here.
Man, yeah, I kind of want to listen to the Josh Groban version now, because that's an example of a guy, like you were saying, who you can't really replace, like those windpipes, you know? Cause
it was.
Like Bruno Mars has
Dan
a
Stevens
unique
was the actor,
advice.
Sorry. Yeah. So it's really like, it's a very unique voice. It's like very specific to the movie. Yeah. You can't like listen to that and like not think of the movie. So that adds to its quality. So there's this whole debate. I remember looking through the YouTube comment sections of this stuff, and it was like, oh man, no, the Stevens better was version. No, the Groban version was better. And I was sitting there like, if I didn't watch the movie and I just sat down and watched both of them, Josh Groban all the way.
Correct.
Watching the movie, I would edge a little bit more towards Dan Stevens, because you can't get the experience of the movie that you get back without listening to that version.
You're right.
It doesn't feel the same. But on the other hand, Josh Groban's a much better singer, because that's his career.
Exactly.
He's paid to sing well. Meanwhile, Dan Stevens is paid to act well.
Yeah.
And and it's like it's two totally different things, and it's so weird how polarizing it got, especially like I was like, no, freaking Team Groban all the way. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
It's just a song, man. But oh man, so that it makes it really. I think covers are kind of a gray area because you don't really know what makes a proper cover. I think because you can either define it as everything is in a gray zone, like you have, or you can.
That's how I feel.
Or you can kind of say like, oh, for the sake of simplicity, for me, you just take the artist name out of it, you put another artist name in to replace the voice, or whatever's being played, then do whatever you want to it, or do whatever you want to within reason. And don't forget to credit it. Don't forget to cite your sources. But there are so many crazy songs. Like I remember I was watching that. I think it was the first time I was genuinely surprised by a Watch Mojo video ever. I was watching the Watch Mojo video, the classic WatchMojo.com guys for your really exciting top 10 comments, or watch for the next exciting documentary where we talk about the top 10 documentaries. Top 10s on WatchMojo.com. But I was genuinely surprised by the list of cover songs at the end. Number 1 was Girls Just Want to Have Fun was a cover, and I was like, what? Wait, Cyndi Lauper didn't make that song? I was like, dang it.
That's just crazy because
but you listen to it.
90% of the people and they would say that's the original.
It sounds good in its own right. The original sounds good in its own right, but you can tell the production quality is lower because it's an older song.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not the audio quality as much as just like the precision of the music itself.
Yes.
You can tell it's a little bit off because you have limitations to your recording software. You can't like edit as much as you can now. I mean, not saying when Girls Want to Have Fun written, you could do what you can do now, but like you could do more than you could do then at that point in time, not now. But then not as far back as the then that I was originally referring to.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's there are some other songs as well that are kind of interesting. I had this whole flowery opening and I literally blanked on it right as I was going through. Man, that kills me. Have you ever done that before? You think of something really interesting to say. Mm-hmm. And you're like, man, I gotta lead this with something. So you do your lead.
Oh yeah.
And while you're doing your lead, you forget what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
And you're like, and then everyone's just sitting there really disappointed in you because you forgot your lead. You forgot what you're gonna say. And you had this whole good opening.
That's why I'm not in speech and debate.
Me neither. Yeah, no, definitely no speech or debate for me. I couldn't think on my feet like that or speak on my feet like that. Speak on my feet. See, this is why I'm not in speech and debate. Dang. This went everywhere, honestly. This went a fair amount of places.
Yeah.
So now the big question. I just thought of this. So instrumental covers, like orchestral covers, things that harken back to another thing. So you have a musical idea that's like iconic to one song, and then another song pays tribute to it by containing an idea from that into there. Is that considered a cover to you?
For me, yes, absolutely.
For you? Yeah. I would say no.
Interesting.
So under our definitions, I would say no and you would say yes because I'd say it was a tribute to it, or a call out, depending on what the way it's presented. And I don't know. It's when you're talking about an orchestral piece, you can technically every time you perform it is a cover because when you have like a piece that was written in like 1800s, like or just super back, like 1600s, like classical music. Excuse me if I got the century wrong there. A little bit sad, but I don't know. You think about the original ensemble that played that piece. Very few instances when you have an ensemble that plays a piece, you're gonna get the exact same ensemble together with all the exact same people, especially when you have like 100+ people in it.
Yeah.
So technically, every time you do it afterwards is by my definition, a cover.
Yeah.
I mean, it's written by the same artist, but a different group is performing it.
Correct.
So that's what I mean. That's kind of weird. It's kind of tripping me out now.
Well,
when you go into the classical genre.
Just think about a band who writes their song, and they go perform it, and then halfway through the song they start talking. Like for instance, like you know how like if you've ever gone to a concert, they'll like say something, just like whatever. Like it can be like a tribute to an event that happened. Like for instance, if there was a band that came and played in Hurricane Harvey, like when George Strait came, I'm sure in the middle of one of his songs, he said something, called out to the people. You know, I mean, he changed the song in that instance.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a live recording of the song.
But you can't. I don't think. Okay, this is my thing. I don't think you can cover your own song.
Really?
I think that's my one rule is that you can't cover your own song because you're singing your own song. You can change your own song. You can release it as a different version of the song and say this is a different version of it. But you can't say you're covering it.
So like let's say
because I think when you say the word cover, you're saying another person is covering over the vocals of the other person. That's how I classically say it.
I would agree with that.
You can't say, oh yeah, Michael Jackson cover number 35 of Beat It.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, it's like, for instance, there's a lot of albums nowadays where it's a band, and then at the very end, they'll have an acoustic version of one of their songs.
Yeah, I think that's just a different. I think it's you say this song
version
parentheses acoustic.
Yeah,
is how I say it. And I would say that there are instances where that happened. Like my family went to go see. You know who the lead singer of Pink Floyd is? It's on the tip of my tongue. I know Pink Floyd. I don't know who the lead singer is. The lead singer he came over and he was doing a tour and he stopped in San Antonio. Yeah. And he, general synopsis, doesn't like Trump very much, and he had like, and my dad sent me pictures of this, pictures of these giant green screens while he was singing "All You Are Is Just Another Brick in the Wall," like really like politically charged version of that song. And he had like a picture of Trump's head on like a baby, and like all kinds of stuff, just like smearing this guy. And it's just like, regardless of my own opinion, it's just like, that is technically a different version of the song, because when it was originally sang, Trump wasn't the president,
of course,
and now that he is, and now he's politically involved, he's making I would consider that a different version of the song.
I would too.
Because there's not really there was never another version of that song that came out that was coming out to directly that I remember that was coming out to directly attack someone as much as that. Yeah. I think especially like with a lot of art nowadays, though, like people will repurpose these songs. Yeah. Especially nowadays because everybody hates Trump. They'll repurpose it and like brandish these songs like knives and take stabs at Trump. And it's
not just a Trump. They do it with everything. Like you can repurpose.
I mean, you could repurpose to do anything. Like you could repurpose a song to send one message and then just put it in a different light, and it can be a completely different message. Yeah. Especially based on its context, I think. Yeah. You could, and like even its historical context.
But that's like art in general. That's one of the defining things of art is that it's always open to interpretation. If you don't leave something up to interpretation, then it's not necessarily art. It's more fact.
See, that's the thing that always bothered me whenever we'd have to write stuff that was up for interpretation in my English class, because I would say like, but no, I want this to make sense, so this is what I want to have happen.
Interesting.
And then people will be like, no, but you have to be able to interpret the reading in different ways. And I'm like, but it definitely says this. This is what it is.
But that's okay for you to say that because that's your interpretation.
Yeah, but there's some points where, like, if you're writing something, your interpretation doesn't even matter. Because if a big group of people think of it a different way, then you're done. Like you think
not necessarily.
I mean, like
if you see
personally,
if you see a thing of music,
you can believe it, but the general synopsis of what it is,
but
can
I
guess. Like think about it like this. Have you ever heard of Game Theory? A YouTube channel online. It's this channel run by a guy named Matt Pat, and he comes up with these really crazy theories about video games that well, I mean, there's some that aren't so far-fetched, but they're like this Mario's an animal abuser, like psychopath. The Rosalina is Luigi's daughter, or like some like he'll come up with like all kinds of like really crazy stuff about video games. Or it'll be like FNAF Part 65, like how this is telling the story of like Five Nights at Freddy's or whatever, and like and I mean, he's kind of like the origin of that, like, everyone's covering Five Nights at Freddy's thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, in his opinion, his interpretation is correct because he did research on it and he did it, but
and there's also no
all these other people are like, this is far-fetched and crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe that, and they brush it off to the side and say, oh, it's entertaining to watch, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, and the thing about theories, if it's not like, I mean, of course there are some academic things, like if you're reading a passage, it's like there are incorrect interpretations, you know, but for general things like art and music, it's very hard. Like the way like you get an incorrect interpretation is if you're like being blatantly, directly, like silly and saying like something, you know. But that's
like for comedic purposes. You're just like blowing it out of the water.
Exactly.
I think there are definitely songs that will either satirize on a particular song or a particular genre.
Sure.
And will just like completely just rip on it.
Yeah.
And still have a really good time. Like Bo Burnham. There you go, prime example.
Never
Just ripping on the country genre. Remember that country thing I showed you?
No, I don't think so.
I'll have to show it to you. It's about country music. It's talking about you're gonna love that video. He's talking about how like the really old country music was like really cleverly made, but nowadays people are just sort of taking like working class keywords like tractor, beer, overalls, like just really keywords, and just shoving them in, shoving these words into songs Mad Libs style.
Yeah, I know what you're
to make
talking about.
this new music, and it was just like this really huge rip on modern country music, because basically it was like these people are like super rich and like have never. And some of these people have like never like worked a day of hard labor in their lives, and they're talking about, oh yeah, I'm just like you working class people that I'm taking money from. Like it's just like, and like, it's meant to be satire. So, but the point is that like that's sort of a cover on the genre.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that's a cover as much as a commentary.
I'd say commentary.
I'd say that's more of a commentary piece. But there are some other songs that will have you ever seen those really weird covers of songs? Like the ones we would do in school where you'd have to like make a song. You'd have to do it to the tune of another song, but it'd have to be about a certain subject.
Yeah.
Those are like the high school covers.
Yeah.
the required high school covers that like nobody wants, that everyone in high school agrees to put away in YouTube, set immediately to private and never watch again.
Yeah.
But in a way, those are all covers. Those are all legit covers. Yeah. Even the guy who relative. Even the kid. Oh wait, no, that was an original song. Never mind. Is the kid who's the I like to play Minecraft kid? Never. It was just an intentionally terrible song that this guy submitted for a school project. Oh my that talking about how he liked to play Minecraft. It was so funny. I don't know. It's really crazy. Yeah. I don't know.
We should probably wrap this up soon.
We should probably wrap this up soon. All right. Yeah. Noah has a life, so so I'm gonna probably we're gonna probably wrap this up pretty soon. What an adventure through cover songs this has been. I think I now have a little better understanding of what makes cover a cover, because I've been introduced to a new definition. I'm learning things. I hope you're learning things. And I don't know. Thank you for coming on the show.
Definitely. Noah,
again. This is the second episode. He's a 100% special guest rate. And yeah, this was our second episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter. Even though he's not here, this channel would not have been possible without a more experienced channel helping me out, the SwedehartYT. Thank you so much to my guest, Noah McNally. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Yeah.
And now, I'm gonna turn the stream off. Don't worry, guys. Everything's fantastic. Love you guys. Bye.